All right, so let's do a binary tree for this first exercise. So we have x plus y exponent 2 times n minus y times x. And the values are 2, 3, and 10. So we look at the expression that we have here, and the first one that is going to be solved is the exponent. So this is exponent because it has 2 times. So the value of y is 3. So we're doing 3 is 3 squared. So 3 times 3, which is 9. Okay. Then we check if there's any other exponent, and there's none. So we go back to the beginning, and we check if there's any multiplication, division, etc. at the same at that hierarchy. So we do have 2 multiplication symbols. So the next thing that is going to happen is the times. So the times for 9 times n will happen. Okay, so that's the second calculation. N has the value 10. So we do 9 times 10 is 90. And then we have that y needs to be multiplied by x. So that is going to happen next. And y is 3 and x is 2. So 3 times 2 is 6, and it goes here. So now we're going to do the plus, and the minus is the only thing that we have left over. So x has a value 2. So we're going to do the 2 plus this 90 that is here. So that would be 92, and then we're going to subtract 6 from it. So that is going to give us 86. So let's see if that's the result that we got in the program for this first exercise. And when I look at my sample run, I see that 86 is the first value that I got. All right, let's try the second exercise, the result for R2. So it is the same equation, the same symbols, but just we added a few parentheses, and we start with the same values. So anything in parentheses will happen first. So for that reason, I'm going to solve the x plus y and the n minus y. So this will happen first, and this will happen next. These are the same level because these two expressions have parentheses, so they will be performed first. So we have that x is a 2 and y is a 3. 2 plus 3 is going to be 5. And then n is 10 minus y, which is 3. So 10 minus 3 is 7. So we go back to the beginning, to the left, with these values. So now the next thing that is going to happen is exponent. So it's parentheses exponent, then all the multiplication, the 2 divisions, and the modulus are in the same hierarchy, and at the end, plus and minus. So now we have exponent. So we have to do 5 to the second power. So this is an exponent. So this would be 5 squared, okay? So that is going to be 5 times 5, 25. And we don't have any more exponents. So then we go back to the beginning. So then the first value that I have is 25 multiplied by the result that I have here. So 25 times 7. So I'm going to grab a calculator for that, and I'll be right back. So 25 times 7 is 175. I plug that in my equation. So here is the 125, which is the result of 25 times 7. I plug it in here. And then the next calculation is the last calculation for this expression, which is 125 times x. And x is the value 2. So I replace that. So 175 times 2 is 350. And if you can't do that on top of your head, what you want to do is grab the calculator. So that's the final answer, and we're going to see what output do we see in Python. So we see that the second value that we saw is 350, and the binary tree lets us see how we got that. So now we're moving on to exercise number 3. When we find the value for R3, it's the same equation as before in terms of the expression, but now we are adding parentheses for this section times the result of this other section. So the values are still the same, and notice that I always write them down because I want to work one step at a time rather than memorizing things, because when we rely on our memory, we are more prone to making mistakes. So we want to make it explicit and ideally reading it out so we realize if we're voicing anything that, oh, did I just say that? Okay, so let's work this out. We need to work the first parentheses first, and within the parentheses, we need to continue to use the order of the operator. So the exponent will happen before the addition. So we solved for the exponent. Y is 3, so we're doing 3 what am I doing? 3 square. So 3 times 3, which is 9. And then the next thing that is going to happen is go back to the beginning of the parentheses, and the addition will happen. And I make it explicit because I can get confused, especially after so many exercises. You can start getting tired and making mistakes. So x is at 2, and we need to do 2 plus 9. 2 plus 9 is 11, and we are done with the parentheses. So this is the result of the parentheses, and we're going to multiply it by the result of the next parentheses. So the next parentheses has subtraction and then a multiplication. The multiplication will happen first. So y has the value 3, and x has the value 2, and now we're multiplying them. So 3 times 2 is 6, and then we're going to subtract 6 from n, which is 10. So 10 minus 6 is 4, and then we multiply 11 times 4, which is 44. So if we take a look at our program, hopefully the outcome was 44. So we're going to check that out now. We look at the third value here, and we see that the computer had indeed generated a 44 as a result for the third variable, which is R3, which is the one we just worked out. So bear with me, one more exercise. All right, so we have the last exercise for R4, the same variables with the same values, and then the same equation but changing where the parentheses are. So whatever's in parentheses gets solved first. So the x plus y will happen first, and then in this parentheses we have 2 calculations. So the multiplication will happen before the subtraction. So this will happen, and then this will happen afterwards. So let's see the values. So x plus y. So x is 2, y is 3, and added together they give us 5. Okay. Then we have to do the multiplication first. Y is 3, x is 2, and we multiply them together. So that will be 6, because 3 times 2 is 6. And then n is 10. So we're going to do 10 minus 6, which is a 4. Okay? And now we go back to the beginning and we see if there's any exponent. And there is. The first exponent is here. So we are going to do 5 square. So 5 times 5. So we're going to do 5 square. So 5 times 5 is 25. And then we're going to do the only calculation we have left in this case is going to be the times. So we're dropping this calculation here, times. So 25 times 4, and this is something we can do very quickly because a quarter is 25 cents. And if you have 4 quarters, you have $1. So this will be 100. Okay, so that's the answer to the last exercise. And on the screen, you can double check that what the computer gave us is 100. So we have 4 exercises that have the same calculations, but they give us 4 different results because of the use of parentheses that change the order in which the calculation gets evaluated. So the computer evaluates from left to right, parentheses first, goes back to the left, exponents next, back to the left, multiplication, division of any kind, and modulus, and then finally addition and subtraction. So that's how the computer works out the results.